set up and ready to go.
We're underway.
Yes. Yep.
And you got a pretty long hot life, so.
And that's
just make sure it's thoroughly mixed.
Yep. Yep.
That's like my
you'll hold that
one. Mixing it through it. Yeah,
and
make sure it's
then
really mixed.
maybe a second time just to make sure we've got it double. When if it gets too low and they're not ready to pour the next one, then you have to clamp. So be ready to clamp before the process is finished. Jake is all serious. I made everybody so nervous. I'm nervous. Can you tell? No, I love this process. You guys are fortunate to get in on one of the most dynamic processes in composites manufactured. And this is a process that they use to make boats.
Buckets going, so I don't do my job.
This process is usually 100 times bigger than this boat. Huge dots, yep. And you'll see them in these boat plants where they walk around on top of these things with special boots to not damage the bag. So it's a very once you have begun this process, it can't be interrupted. So that's why we try to make such a big deal about making sure everybody knows their place, they know their role.
Okay, and you're going to
all of these folks are students, and so this is their first run through the process. Oh yeah, that's fine. That's fine if you guys want to. So we've got the bucket, it's mixed. Here goes the clamp man. You're going to watch for the resin front to come up through. So be careful that doesn't flip off of there and land onto your thing there.
It'll flow.
Okay, actually, I can probably take it from over here, Rick. It might be easier if you got it. You got it?
Might still be.
Here we go. Okay, now, Jake, you're not looking at the bucket. Sorry, now, see, this is called the resin front. Now, ideally, we do have some concerns. We're a little worried that the resin might not get up the transom, right? So, we're gonna. Are you mixing?
Yeah, we're mixing.
Okay.
Now what I'm going to just reclamping my same spot.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. What's going on there? There we go. Thanks, Phil. Yeah, that clamp is. Yeah, clamp it in a different spot. Yeah. Are you mixing over there, bud?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So this is called the resin front, and it'll just creep it through. It's actually being pushed through with atmospheric pressure.
It's going through pretty good work.
Yeah.
It's not that fast.
So what is the resin made of?
It's a polymer, and it's made from a polyester product. And it's right now hasn't polymerized, so it's what you call monomers, and they're bathed in a solution of styrene, and they won't bond together until you put in what we call the initiator. Once the initiator goes in, they all begin to link together into a long chain. That long chain is called a polymer. So it's a plastic.
Okay, you guys ready? We're ready.
So turn it in.
Yep.
It depends. It's looking right now like it's going to be about. And this is where you have to be very careful. I've seen a lot of spillage on this part. So pour maybe a little faster than that so it doesn't get pulled back. And then that's enough for now. Yeah, there we go. We had one actually started, the guy was like looking at the resin front, and he was like, the resin was going all over, but we caught it.
Where's this boat going?
Well, hopefully this will be a prized display item that will go up in the front of the building when the final build out comes.
When the building finally starts up? When the front part gets, you get to have the front part up?
Yeah. Now, Jake, do you feel, are you pressing all the way into the bottom? Pull up just a little bit.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay. Yeah.
How thick is the layers?
Pretty thick. Yeah. How many plies do we put in?
5 plies.
And that's the 12K.
What's the, are you doing a 50-50 ratio then, or?
No.
We're doing however much it takes to fully infuse.
Like doubling it then?
Well, we keep mixing more. I mean, once that second bucket is all the way gone and it looks like it's not going to, we'll go back and pour another bucket and be ready to go with it. We could go
it'll end up 60, 60-40 just from the vacuum.
One of the methods they do if you're doing a large infusion is you want to keep track of
you guys.
You want to keep track of the resin front. So here we're at the so I will draw a line generally where the resin front is, and I'll put a timestamp on it. And a minute later, I might draw a new line. I want to see if this resin is moving. If it stalls out, I got a problem. So that was at 10:20. So I'll put on here 10:20 exactly. Okay. So in 1 minute, so in 30 more seconds, we can see how fast it's moving in a minute. If this, generally they do this to see permeability. So they'll do a test sample of a small section of a boat hull, and they'll determine how far it will infuse before it needs another injection port to help it move along again. So I may have multiple infusion ports that I put into this boat mold, depending on how large it is and how dense of a material that I'm trying to infuse.
So if you're,
so that's 1 minute.
If your resin stalls out,
we need another infusion line.
okay, so you would
So the
break
next time
into the bag and then.
Well, I couldn't do it on this one. This one will just be a felled shot part. I'd have to.
You want somebody to tag you out?
Well, what are we fighting here? We're fighting
Gel time.
gel time. We're worried about it not
Drying air.
shooting before it gets hard. So that comes down to how much MEKP do we put in it? What's the mix ratio?
We're drying air.
Right?
It's like 1.2%.
A lot.
It'll be okay.
Yeah, where's it coming
So
from?
something happened. This is moving forward now pretty fast.
Is it drying it from around where the tube's going in?
This generally will clear in about 2 hours.
It hasn't dropped yet. It hasn't dropped any pressure. A certain amount it needs to move before it's stalled out, or it just stops moving.
Well, if it hits gel before it's saturated,
So it's
then
like a
we're
minute.
done. But we're not completely done. Then we would just go
Couple
about
inches
getting
a
the rest of it with a normal wet layup process. We'd take this bag off. We would
coming
wet
from
the
that
stuff
far
out
end.
from above, soaking it in with the same resin system, and then
So you're rolling over
rebagging
the
it
tip.
with a bleed layer, putting it under vacuum again, and we would probably have a salvageable boat. But the porosity is our big enemy, air bubbles. We're not seeing a lot of it. A lot of people are worried they see this much air. It's not a tremendous problem yet. We don't know until we pull it. There's a lot of air in the layers before we ever start this. So it's not like you're ever completely void of air. There's always air when you start. And so a lot of these bubbles are air that has already been trapped within those fibers that is now escaping through.
Now, how come you guys didn't put a port back here?
When do you do the other side of
We talked about
We
all
have
the different methods you can do this. This is a linear flow. A linear flow in this type of method is probably not the best because it has to travel all the way from here to here. So they have what's called a concentric or an eccentric, where you inject in the middle with a ring of vacuum around it, and then it just flows up and out, or it flows out and in. This flow, we decided just to go with it because it was already set up. It's got a little further to travel.
Yeah.
Right?
And you see the resin front is coming in at an angle. And you might think, well, it's flowing faster here, but it's not. There's not as much area to go across.
Smaller.
There's less material over here, so it doesn't have to go through as much material to get to this distance. So it's actually flowing fairly evenly across, even though the resin front is at an angle. I'm a little concerned about what will happen when the resin hits this. We have a double layer of the green material, which is to facilitate the flow. It's called green flow.
How's your pocket? Good.
And when it hits here, it's probably going to accelerate that way. And we might see some bubbling up through the port before it has saturated in the back in the transing zone.
This isn't moving at all up here.
So this is pretty stalled.
It really won't.
Yeah, it is.
No, it'll keep a steady march forward until we hit gel. And I think that we're doing good on time for that because we didn't go
What's your working
with a
time?
real high percentage of MEKP.
You didn't.
No.
What's the
we're
working
at
time
about
on that?
1.5%, something like that. What's that, Todd?
What's the working time on this?
Depends on how much MEKP you add, and I've added 1.5%. It gives me a little bit of extra time. But again, these buckets are so large that they can generate heat, which will accelerate that, as you know. So it's just, oh, look at that. It's getting into that. See where the low pressure zone was?
Right.
Right in there. See how it filled that up right away?
Concerned about.
Yeah.
No, actually, we knew it was
It's
going to happen.
doing
We
it.
predicted it and went forward with that. There's a spot there where there's a bridge where the bag is not tight to the bottom
And
of
it's
the mold,
stalled
and so it's
here.
like a void, and it will fill up
Yeah.
right away.
Here,
It'll
go
fill
ahead.
up right away with resin. And it has done that.
It is. It's on the bottom of the angle down here. There's a puddle over in this corner already. It's just not coming up this way. Yeah.
Well, again, I'm reminded you can step out. You don't have to be in here.
It's slowly spreading. in
Yeah, it
that
smells like
corner.
Bondo to me.
It smells good.
I don't mind it.